Required reading. And it comes from our friend Rich Cimini, who covers the Jets for us at ESPN. And he wrote an article in which he says the Zach Wilson hype train is speeding towards the draft, and the biggest beneficiary is the Jets. Wilson's soaring popularity has increased the value of the number 2 overall pick, and the Jets have done their part by maintaining a poker face. General Manager Joe Douglas could have a winning lottery ticket in hand. And so as we sort of consider the possibilities here, Adam Schefter, I said this on the radio a couple of weeks ago. It has become clear Zach Wilson is going to be the second player selected in the draft. The question is who's going to make that pick? What is your best sense of what the Jets, who currently have that pick, are considering doing?
I agree with that, Greeny. I think that the Jets can sit there and they can field offers and decide to make a trade for Sam Darnold here in the next 10 or so days. They could take that up to the draft to see which teams don't get somebody they want in free agency or via the trade, or recognize after pro days that they won't be able to get a quarterback that they'd like in the draft. And they can then trade Sam Darnold to the team that makes the best bid. But I think they're sitting there in the interim, and then they can decide, well, do the Texans budge off their stance? Can we find a way to get Deshaun Watson to New York? Is that a possibility? And if so, great, then we can figure that out as we get closer to the draft. And if not at that point in time, we could just sit back here and we could take Zach Wilson at 2 if that's what we decide after doing all the research that we do on him in the coming weeks and visit with him at the pro day and watch him and do all sorts of work. But yeah, I think Zach Wilson is in play to be the number 2 overall pick. I've always thought that would be the case, and the Jets get the benefit of time and not having to rush into any decision right now.
Well, you make a great point, because that's right. One of the things that asset could turn into is the center of a trade for Deshaun Watson. But all that is to be seen. So, Mike Tannenbaum, I will ask you to play the role of general manager of the Jets, which, ironically, you actually used to be. What would you do? How would you be approaching this right now?
Well, I think Adam kind of laid out what the process would be, but at the end of the process, you want to go with the best player possible. That is Zach Wilson. He has a chance for you to lead your franchise to a championship. He has a much higher ceiling than Sam Darnold. He's at a much better cost. And when you think about where the game is going from an athletic standpoint, he's a much better fit, especially with what the new system that Coach Salah is going to run. So I'm going to go through the process. I'm going to listen because that's my job. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go with Zach Wilson, and I'm going to trade Sam Darnold and maybe pick up a second or third round pick. And Joe Douglas has done a really good job. We still have multiple picks next year in the first round. We have another first rounder this year. So the cupboard is bare, but I have resources to improve the team with a great quarterback, Dan, in Zach Wilson, not a good quarterback in Sam Darnold.
Dan, agree or disagree?
I disagree. All right, everyone hang on with me here. I got 5 points. And I need everyone to listen to the first one. Stop thinking about quarterbacks like they're not symbiotic creatures. Quarterbacks and the players around them, it's a mutually beneficial relationship. The second point, Deshaun Watson went 4-12 last year. The third point, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, even a little bit of Baker Mayfield right now. Why are those young quarterbacks playing so well? Because the team around them was capable of allowing for their development. And the last thing is this. I want Jets fans, Greeny, pay attention to this. Just imagine you get a trade offer like the Browns did years ago from the Philadelphia Eagles to go get Carson Wentz. I think the Eagles gave them the first rounder that they had that year. They gave them a first rounder for the following year, a second rounder, a third rounder, a fourth rounder, right? Something like that. I think we have the graphic. Yeah, look at all these picks that the Browns got from the Rams, to go and make that trade. Now, if you're the Jets and you're Joe Douglas, what is more likely to flip your organization? 5 number 1 picks over the next 2 years and 3 number 2 picks, so 8 picks in the first 2 rounds, or getting Zach Wilson, who, if you get Zach Wilson, he might be really good, but you'll never know because your team will stink.
So, Mike T, let me throw that back at you, because that is part of this equation. Those were the last two times teams traded up to number 2. One of them was the Wentz trade. The other one was the RG3 trade. You're getting a bushel full of draft picks for that number 2 pick, Mike Tannenbaum. That does not factor into this?
It does, but Dan contradicted himself because earlier in the show he talked about how the first-round quarterbacks are hit and miss. And if we think about the greatest GMs, the Ron Wolfs of the world that are in the Hall of Fame, you're going to hit about 60% of the time on first-round picks. There's also other ways to improve your team, and the Jets have done a great job of creating cap room. Again, Zach Wilson has the ability, the character, the talent, the leadership to be a great player. Sean McDermott drafted Josh Allen, who helped them get to the playoffs, and they have a similar style of play. Zach Wilson is a pro. Right, but he was the foundation to lead them to greatness. And what my point is, Sam Darnold has never led a team to greatness. He turned the ball over at USC with 22 interceptions. He has 46 turnovers in 3 years. That matters. And Zach Wilson, over the same period of time at BYU, has shown his ability to raise the entire program.
Go ahead, Dan. Quick final thought.
No, the foundation in Buffalo or in Kansas City or in Baltimore was the team was ready. The team was good quarterback play away from being elevated. That's the whole point.
All right,
that's the whole point. Is
like
they were able to take the quarterback, and the quarterback went from the guy that we think could be really good to being really good because they're not symbiotic. They're mutually beneficial. People need to start understanding that more, especially in New York.
It's a good debate. Go ahead, Adam.
The Jets have the cap space, and they have the picks in what will be the biggest buyer's free agent market ever to be able to build up the roster and surround whoever plays quarterback with good players. And so that's why the most important thing is you pick the quarterback, whether that's Sam Darnold or Zach Wilson or Justin Fields, that you think is going to be the best player, period. You're right about the symbiote. They'll fill in the blanks around the quarterback that they want to build around. They have enough ammunition to do that.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.